We laugh. We cry. We learn. But really, what doesn't kill you makes you better at managing clients and everyone. I'm Morgan Friedman, and this is Client Horror Stories. Hey everyone, welcome to the latest episode of Client Horror Stories. I'm excited to have John Morley here. John, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Morgan. It's great to be here. I'm really excited to share my horror stories.
Let's jump right in. Tell me your favorite horror story.
Okay, so there's two that stand out. Once upon a time, there was a client, and this client of mine was with me for many, many years. But then they turned. So all of a sudden, they were having issues with their internet. And so, being an IT and tech company, being an engineer, we were trying to solve the problem. Unfortunately, the problem was not something we could solve because the problem was with the internet service provider. So it was an attorney, and the attorney's like, well, what can we do? I was like, well, we can be patient, or we can, put a solution in that will give you internet even if the cable company goes out. Well, great, fantastic, let's do it. Okay, it's going to cost some money. Yeah, don't worry about it. How much money are we talking about? $3,000-4,000 plus some labor. Yeah, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. I said, so you're okay with all that? Yeah, don't worry about it. So I'm going to need a deposit. Yeah, just get the stuff and I'll get you the check later. Okay, no problem. Been with the client for many, many years. So all of a sudden we come in, we install everything. Everything is working beautifully. And so I then ask the client, Mr. Zoskin, may I have my check? Check for what? We'll check for the equipment. It was like $3,500 for the custom router with the SIM cards and all that. He's like, I never told you to do that. Yes, you did. Last week, sir, pardon me, we talked about this, and you told me that you can't be running your law firm with your internet keep coming down. I don't remember that. Well, anyway, you did, and your daughter was right here, right? Yeah, you did say that, Dad.
The daughter confirmed that the dad said it?
Yes. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to give you the blank and blank and blank and effing check. And so he gives it to me, and he throws it at me. He says, you know what? I've had it with you. I said, I've been with you for many, many years. All you do is rip me off. Okay? You come up with these stupid ideas to fix things, and then you charge me more money. I said, sir, if you look at, since you've brought me on, I said, I've actually saved you a lot of money. I said, let's look at your bills from before I came to now, and noticing that the only thing I charge you for is when things break, right? And for maintenance. Yeah, I got to start looking for somebody else. So, that's your choice. So, I'm going to give you your check, okay? And I got to start looking for somebody else. So, no big deal. I said, thank you very much. And he says, I'm going to have somebody probably come by tomorrow and take a look at it. Fine. So I'm in my office. I actually get a call from the manufacturer whose firewall we have in there. Obviously, they want to protect their vendors.
Yes.
And she goes, Mr. Morley, he's like, we're calling you because somebody's calling in saying to be you or one of your staff. I said, who is it? What firewall? I'm looking in. It says, is this such and such law firm? Yes, it is in such and such New Jersey. I said,
oh my God.
Oh, I said it. And who's the person? Well, he claims he's you. So we asked him to check his email to get the number we sent him for two-factor. And he said he doesn't have time to access an email. He's just there to fix a problem. So next thing I know, he's trying to basically get into this. Now, what I forgot to tell you was about an hour or two ago, the office had called me and asked me for a password to basically the server and the firewall to look around things. Fine. Basic password. They couldn't really do enough with that. So I gave them the password they asked for. They didn't even know what password they wanted, but they asked me for a password. I gave it to them. I said, well, when I give you the password, so I just want to let you know that I'm not going to be responsible for any damage. Oh, don't worry. We're not going to need you anymore anyway. Remember, this guy was just having this guy come over to check things out, not to fire me. So now this company calls, I don't recognize that person. He's like, okay. He says, that's what we thought. He says, I'm going to tell the support representative to end the session with them. So he had called in and said that he forgot the password, which I never gave him, to the rest of this cloud infrastructure.
Everything else, right.
And so he's like, well, I'm into the firewall. So obviously, you know, I have access. Yeah. And what device do you need access to? Well, everything. And it was just very vague. So the guy was trying to help him. He was trying to work with him. He was actually going to help him. I was like, oh boy. And when I called him, because I got this call, this flag, the security flagged me. I was like, you don't know this? I said, no. He says, hold on. He says, I'm going to ping a member of my colleague on my team. He says, and we're going to go ahead and terminate the support call. So he gets back to the guy. He says, yes, excuse me, sir. This is what he said. Unfortunately, we're going to have to terminate the call. Well, why? Unfortunately, we've just got a security flag. That's all I'm able to tell you. And you're trying to impersonate somebody who's not who you really are. So I'm going to need to end the call now. Okay, goodbye. And he never called in again. And then he just tried to abortion build everything out. So they went to things like we had all servers for them. And he built these like mom and pop solutions. Nothing wrong with them, but he had commercial stuff in there. So he couldn't figure out what the heck we did. And he couldn't even figure out how to uninstall our enterprise software. So you know what he did? He just reformatted everything. Now tell me that isn't an effing waste of time, right? This guy was pighead, all right? And so, you know, that's one of those things. And this guy had done this before where, you know, he's like, you know, you're always charging me money. I can't remember one time I was out there and, you know, the guy trusts us. He says, you know, I'm going to leave a key for you can come in and do the work because I don't want you to bother us during a week. No problem. So I come out there. I'm like, there's no key here. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, you're going to have to check back with another time. So we did a second time. The third time, I said, look, I'm willing to forgive the first two times. The third time, we're going to bill you for our service call. You're going to bill me. You didn't get this. I said, you were supposed to have a key out there. We even called. Yeah, I don't have time for this nonsense. So we knew it was kind of going downhill. But when I did this whole thing of setting up basically cellular backup Wi-Fi. So what happened is that when the, let's say the WAN would go down, it would detect it and it would make a dial out on the SIM.
Right.
So it was a great solution. Then I told him you need to commit to 3 months with us, with Verizon for the service. He just like, he was getting this person, but I said, you know, normally he wouldn't do this. So I said, something had to happen. So either A, he probably just had somebody from the family that just graduated, you know, like one of these tech schools, because he didn't just find somebody. But suddenly he got this guy when he was going to have him call me to talk to him. He didn't really want to talk to me. And then after he frauded me, I called him back. And I said, look, I just want to let you know. I said, I know you work for a law firm that you're doing work for it. I said, you're creating fraud right now. I said, continue on the path you're going, and you're going to need to ask your client to help you out of it because I will sue you. He never called me again. He never tried to attack my stuff. He took all my hardware and threw it out. But the horror part is we were with them for so long. The office loved what I did, and they would never replace me. But this, whatever word we want to call them.
This is an R-rated series.
Yeah, it's not a word I would say. It's not a word I would say. You could probably say the J word, but he was. And it's like, you know, I'm not trying to criticize people, but it's like, look, I asked you for this. I never said that you could do that. I did. Well, you never got my signature. I said, you know, I knew you were going to play games with me like this. You know, I've been doing work with you for how many years?
So I have a few comments and thoughts. Usually in most episodes, people pause more than you. So I interrupt, but I've been saving my comments and questions for that. No. I love your story. Fantastic story. So my first question is this. I've interviewed a lot of professionals on horror stories, and a common pattern is it tends to be with new people. We've been working 6 months, 1 year together, and then there's a breakdown. But now, the way you describe it, it sounds like you're together for like a decade
over 20 some years. Our company's 30 years. We were with them for 20 some years, and he always would play this game. And I say, look, you want to get rid of me? Good, get rid of me. He can't find anybody to replace me. The only reason he got somebody is there's somebody in the family, because he wouldn't just let somebody to trust with his records, right? I mean, that's a real thing. We do medical offices. You know, the push comes to shove. They can't just find somebody like us. Sure. It's not just the fact that you know something. It's an integrity. How many doctors are going to give you a key to their office and just tell you to come in? Right? That's not very common.
Exactly.
So we had to trust him for a while, and he treated us like crap.
So usually this sort of terrible behavior is fairly early in the relationship. This behavior like this, was it ongoing for a long time? Did it get worse,
So
or was it
it
like
started
did it just
when we
explode
first
at the
came
end?
in. When we first came in, there was a lady, I won't mention her name, and she was a nutcase. I was ready to just drop the client like 15, 20 years ago. And the office knew she was a nutcase. The lady was such a nutcase that the reason one time there was no key out there many years ago is she had a nervous breakdown and she stepped and she broke the key on purpose. Okay, this is a whack job. And so she'd come in. We got her a printer, one of the top of the line printers. Doesn't matter what model it was. And she didn't like the printer. What's wrong with the printer? I don't like this printer. Why not? I don't like where the paper chute is. You should have interviewed me before you brought it in. Okay. So we return the printer store. They pay me to take the printer out. Lady's nuts. His daughter, who's like kind of in charge of things and liked me, and she's like, she's just nuts. We don't even want to deal with her. I just wish she would quit. And so the printer's sitting there. And so I'm like, I'll get you another printer. Okay. But I am not responsible for where the chute is. I'm not responsible for the color, for where the buttons are. So why don't you get familiar with the printers you like? I can give you some recommendations, and you pick it, and you make sure it fits all your ergonomic needs, because you're a little bit too much. And I do work for hospitals, and you're just a trip. So finally, we got a printer, and the head attorney's like, look, he's like, I don't care what she says. She's going to take this printer. She's going to shut up, and she can do whatever she wants, but she's just going to like it. She's going to use it, or she can just leave it, but I'm not getting another printer. Well, finally, she decided to quit a while back, because every couple months I'd be going in there. You know why I was in there so many hours? Because she was going on sites. I won't say they're X sites, but she was going on sites that shouldn't be on, and they weren't really X-rated sites, but they were sites for social media. And I said, well, I'll call the guy Tom. That's not his name. I said, well, Tom, look, this is what's going on. I mean, she's the reason I'm back here. She's the reason there's viruses on there. She's the reason why your whole network is down. Well, what do we have to do? Well, we need more security. Well, put it in, for crying out loud. Stop talking to me and do it. So everything was working smooth. Everything was always good. Everything was great. And she finally quit. Then they brought this other lady in who was like, let's say, a lot younger than her. And she was nice to the point, but she's always trying to like weasel you out, right? She's an attorney. And first of all, what I should tell you about her, I won't give you her name, but she practices in another state. That state disbarred her. New Jersey disbarred her. Now she's trying to go back and get her license again in Florida. And now she does remote work for him, supposedly, and she has 2 kids, and she's out of a marriage and a whole bunch of nonsense. So she'd always be trying to second guess, like, I found a better way to do this. We can just go online and download this program for $9.99, and I think you should just do that. So I said, well, maybe you should manage his IT needs. Well, I mean, I could. I mean, I don't know as much as you do, but I mean, I obviously know how to save him money. Okay, we could try that out. How about it? So we tried that out, and I don't show up for a while.
You actually tried that out?
Yes.
I said use that same line. Oh, you should do it yourself. But in my experience, they always back down. They're just being assholes. But it's incredible they did it.
Well, she was a pompous attorney. Okay. And when you put her in her spot, she didn't know SHIT. Okay. She didn't know anything. So toward the end, she was like, oh, John, I need your help with this. And she was like a lot more of a puppy dog, because she tried different things and she failed. She's like, I don't know computers and all, but I just can't get in. I said, well, you got locked out. Why am I locked out? Well, you're locked out because you logged in 3 times wrong. Well, why is that? Well, because we have a mandatory security policy. Well, who set that up? I did. Well, that was stupid. Well, no, it's not stupid. I don't have time. I don't want to listen to it. So then I hear from the head Tom guy. I said, I don't want to hear anything. I just want to come in and do it. Then he's like, you know what? You've been here like 45 minutes already. I hope you're not charging me for this, because this whole hour you're here is all BS, right? You didn't fix anything. You've been talking to us. I said, well, I won't charge from the moment I get in the door. When a client comes to you, do you charge them for the moment they get in, or do you wait until after they take their jacket off? And I said, I charge, this, I charge the moment I get in the door. I don't charge you for travel time, but I charge the moment I get in the door. So, we got to start clocking you. So that didn't last very long. But long story short, she didn't last very long either. She tried to do some backup routine, and then suddenly she's, oh my gosh, John, she's like, I lost all these briefs. I don't know what I'm going to do. Mr. Ski's going to kill me. Okay, well, where were they last? I don't know. They were in the cloud. Where in the cloud? I don't know, somewhere up in the cloud somewhere. Well, what service did you use? I don't know. So she kind of calmed down. But my point is that this firm was on this teeter rocking thing where they wouldn't pay bills for a while. You know, the kind where you issue the invoice. We have like a 99% rate now where people pay us on time. It's called we bill in advance. And when you run out of time, we bill again, like attorneys work. I came with this. So he said, well, why do you bill like this? I said, well, you're an attorney. Why do you bill with a retainer in advance? Why can't I bill like that? So he got a little huffy, but then he shut up. So I think the point is that what's good for them isn't good for you. And then they play these games. So he owed me, let's just say he owed me, I don't know, $3,000. So I said, Tom, I said, when are you going to fix this? Well, we have a balance here of $3,400, and I don't really want to order any more services or products for you until this is paid. You're always looking for money. Well, sir, this bill is 90 days old. That's the problem. I'm going to write this check to you right now. And I'll tell you, I really should find something. And he was saying this for years, but he didn't find anybody. That's why I know he wasn't going to find somebody. When this happened, he happened to have some relative, I guarantee you, that graduated. Because when I looked up this person who didn't live too far from him, was maybe just out of college. He started an IT company. So I looked in to see their firm, their history. And they run out of a garage, which is okay. It's fine. You can start out of a garage.
And it happens to have the same last name.
Not the same last name, but I did find that they were related to somebody in the family. Now, here's the funny part. He stopped doing business with me, but his daughter-in-law still thinks I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. She's like, you're not cheap, but like, you know what you're doing.
Sure.
I said, yeah, that's why you pay me. She's like, you charge a lot of money for email. I said, yeah, but my email works. She's like, I can get email for $9 a year. I said, yeah, and I back up your email every single night. I know, like, you do all those fancy things. Well, you could do the $9, and then when your email doesn't go somewhere, or when you have a problem getting your email, then, don't call me. So guess what? She stays with me. But, it's like you have to kind of like do that. So that was a real interesting one. And that one kind of like, that set my heart palpitating a little bit because I've been with him for a while. It's one of those ones where the divorce is going to happen. You don't force it. But when it was there, it's like, I took the check. I thanked everybody. I said, it was a privilege and pleasure to work for you. One lady, I'll call her Mary. Mary, I'm going to miss you. Then I sent an email out a few weeks ago. I just want to let you know that there's a proper exit procedure we need to follow. And we're not going to be responsible for what happens if you don't follow it. Please note that if you need us to do any of these additional things, this is the fee to convert things for your new IT company. They just blew all that out of the water, didn't renew our email, went through some Gmail crap, and they converted their whole law firm that had a name.com, which is a beautiful domain, to some gmail.com. And I discovered this because when I was sending them invoices, nobody was opening them. I wasn't seeing them open. I said, wonder why. So I called Mary. I said, Mary, what happens? Oh, we switched away from that junk. We have Gmail now. Our new IT guy said it's really good. Okay, well, if you want Google to know everything you're doing, I guess it's great. If you want them to be sleeping with you, that's fine.
So there are a whole bunch of really interesting lessons from there. One that I want to call attention to is people often, or clients often, want to pay for the obvious thing that they see on the surface. But a lot of the things that you say, oh, wait, backups in case of this. Oh, defining security procedures and then implementing it because it's so invisible. People tend to devalue it. And
that's why it's important that I put these things in writing and I send certified return receipt letters. So you can deny me all you want, but here's a certified return receipt letter. And I'll tell you my next story, which is even better than this one. This was a juicy one. And you have to admit that you wouldn't have expected this, right? Because you don't know what you're doing, right? But you keep hiring us. We don't know what we're doing, but you keep hiring me back. Well, I feel sorry. No, you don't feel sorry for me. You hire me back because I know what the frick I'm doing. And your ego just won't let you tell me that.
Also, I know a lot of people that always say things like that, but it's really just a negotiation strategy. Trying to get me to lower my price. And that always rubs me the wrong way. It's like if you think you do a good job, just say it and you'll do a good job. There's no reason to play all these games so you can save 2%.
They play games, and then it's like, you know, I'm not going to be able to eat this month because I'm paying you. Like they give me some BS like that. You know, I don't know if I could pay you. I'm not going to be able to make payroll this month because I'm paying you. And then I talked to his daughter. It's like, she's like, he just talks out of his butt. He talks like that all the time. I said, was I good? She's like, you were amazing. She's like, you were our best IT guy ever. You were with us the longest. She's like, but the other guy we have right now, like, you know, he's kind of knows him and he's doing everything for the year for like, you know, $300, $400 for the year. I can't work for $400 a year. I know. She's like, so like, you know, he kind of knows him and he's giving him a break for $450 a year. And, you know, he kind of just does things, not like what you did, but, you know, he just kind of does some things and he does a lot of free stuff for him, using a lot of free online stuff. The other thing is like Microsoft has a license, right? I don't play games with licenses ever. I had a guy one time beat me on a price for my license for my server by, I think it was $900 or $1,000. I said, that's the cost of the license. Yeah, well, he just kind of makes it disappear. No. I don't play those games. So here's my other one. So I was doing work. We're a national service center for Brother International. And we sometimes get clients from them, sometimes not. It just depends. Well, this person came in with their laser printer, and it wasn't printing. It needed a new fuser. So this was around the COVID time, and we couldn't get the fuser, and we finally got it. Called them back. I said, look, apologize for the delay. And I realized they were open on Saturday. So the part came in. I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a favor for them. I'm going to put the fuser. I said, I'm going to deliver it to them Saturday morning. I mean, they were nice enough. They came here. They've been patient. I'm just going to drop it off just as a courtesy. Then when I got there, I said, maybe I should give them my card. You never know if they need me. Found out they're having IT people. They're horrible. They hate them. Before I know it, our firm's hired as the IT company. We did work for them. We put all this great technology in. And she was bashing this old company, this lady who runs the company. She was bashing the IT company left and right.
I want to interrupt for 1 second. I love your stories, by the way, and you're a good storyteller too.
Thank you.
I just want to observe, in my experience, it's a huge red flag whenever a client or potential client bashes the previous person or team in the job. And if they bash one person, whatever, bad luck. But the worst is when they bash, oh, I've never hired a good IT person. The last 8 sucked. Maybe the problem
exactly. And the guy's like, I got to get rid of him. He's terrible. Like, I need you to help me. So I'm thinking of it positively in the beginning, and I'm telling everybody things. You know, this is a lot of money. I got to pay you this. You got to pay you this up front. What are you, Columbo? You get your money up front? I said, yeah, I get my money up front. What kind of nonsense is that? That's just how I work. So she gives me the one check, and then after a while, I'm like, where's another check? What, another freaking check? I just gave you a check last week. Well, I was here 10 hours. Yeah, and then what? Another check next week? Like, what am I doing? Like writing your payroll every week? Well, there's a lot that I'm doing. Your system was messed up. It ain't that messed up. We were working without you. Well, I'm putting a new router in. I'm putting. Yeah. Well, we need to put Wi-Fi in your. It was a tow yard. I said we need to put Wi-Fi in your yard. What's that going to cost me? Another $1 million? No, I said it's probably about another $68,000. I ain't doing that. Okay, well, we'll just leave what you got, and we'll leave the one wireless. It's fine. So we get her all going, and everything's running smoothly. I come there on a Saturday, and have to get everything working, and then you find the nightmare because everything there is like held together with like chewing gum and Scotch tape. And the stuff I don't want to touch, like their cameras and stuff, which I didn't even go near, it's literally together with like the cheapest chewing gum and tape you can imagine. You just breathe on it. And so, you know, our cameras aren't working. Well, I didn't touch you. Yes, you did. I moved the desk. Well, you touched our wire. All the cameras downstairs aren't working. I said, look, those cameras aren't put in very well. I said, whoever put them in, don't knock those people. There's somebody we know for years, and they do a great job. I said, we do cameras too. And I'd be embarrassed. And not only that, I'd fire whoever put those in because I don't know how that would even meet code. Well, it works for us. And you better fix it because, you know, my father watches these cameras from his house to make sure nobody steals from the yard on the weekend. First, it's no big deal, and now it's suddenly he watches them all the time from his house. Maybe he needs to get a life. So I finished this whole thing at the end of Saturday, came early in the morning. It was like 8 o'clock. I finished at 9 or 10 o'clock after I finished putting all the chewing gum back together and everything, getting it working. And she's telling me about a problem she has in her house. So I'm like, okay, I'm happy to help her. She lives in a gated community. So I went there and she's like, we've had people. They don't know what they're doing. I said, well, I'll take a look at it. She's like, well, I don't think you'll be any good, but I'll give you a shot. Take a look at it. She's like, my house is a mess. She's like, I can't get Wi-Fi. I said, well, the problem is, I said, your house, the way it's designed, the layout isn't conducive to the Wi-Fi you have. Well, can you fix it? I said, yeah, you need commercial Wi-Fi, and that's probably like about $15,000. I'm not paying that. Well, we have some other things we could do. We can bridge the signals, and we can do. Yeah, that's more. I said, how much is that? I said, $1,200. That's more my speed. I said, I'm not recommending that, but it's something we can try. It'll make it better. Oh, yeah, okay. So we try it, works for a while. And then you know what? The bird comes by or the truck comes by and suddenly the signal isn't good. I said, I told you that this is not a stable solution. Well, why'd you do it? I told you we should do the other solution, but I told you you could try this, but I don't recommend it. See, you don't know what you're doing either. No, it's because the signal. Yep. There you go with the talking. Yep. Then she brings her boyfriend to me.
Before that, I just want to interject with another observation. A pattern I found is when you give clients two options, let's say the more expensive but complete one and the cheap but like minimally just does good the job. Every single time there's features from the more expensive one they didn't want to pay for that they then complain about. Didn't have it. No, your plan didn't include backup. No, but everything crashed. We needed backup. You wanted the cheap plan without backup. And this is
And
exactly
that's why
what
I have
happened here.
people sign things or at least acknowledge in the quote, just letting you know that you chose the following solution. And per our conversation, you have elected to not go with our backup or our APC power backup solutions. The following issues may result by not taking a use of this advice. And you click and you sign it, and it's on my quote. So this lady was a little challenging. So her boyfriend was nice, I think soon to be her fiance. And I was explaining to him, I'll call him Jim, that wasn't his name. I was like, Jim, I said, your girlfriend, fiance, I said, I'm trying to explain things to her, okay? But she's a little thick, all right? I'm trying to be nice. I know you love her and all, but I said, she's thick. He said, I know she's thick. I said, I understand. I'm trying to do the best for you guys and for her business and all that stuff, but you guys are so thick that she doesn't understand what's going on. Well, you know, John, I'll try to talk to her, but she is thick. So we were doing some work at the office, and I think there was a problem with a printer. And we get a call on the phone, and he says, you know, your wires aren't working right. Okay, we'll get out there and fix whatever it is. I said, okay, I'm happy to fix this for you as a courtesy. First of all, we didn't put these wires into that printer. We inherited all these wires, but we didn't put these in. So therefore, I don't guarantee the wiring that I didn't do. Well, you're the IT people now. I said, yes, but I've got to charge you time and material to troubleshoot and probably to run a new line. Yep, yeah. Stop this. Just fix it and stop yapping. So I get out there. I fix it for her free of charge. Everything's working beautifully. The next day, I get a call on the phone. And they start with the superlatives. You, F, and F, that. And we got a problem with our bullet. And every third word is a curse word. Very calm. And I said to him, happy to help you with the printer. So I solved the printer issue. I said, we have a policy at our company, at all of my companies. Maybe you're not aware of it, but I do want to make sure you and your owners are always aware of it. We don't discriminate for race, religion, sexual orientation, creed, color, political party, anything. And that means for employees, contractors, vendors, clients. None of that is tolerated. I want to let you know that today is a warning, okay? A warning meaning that I'm keeping this on file. The second time will be an official warning that you'll get. It'll be in writing. The third time, we will terminate you. Do you understand? This holds for you. This holds for anybody in your company. Fine. Next thing I hear, I get a call back, and I get a voicemail. The voicemail has a whole bunch of superlatives on it. I call them back. We don't have time for this. We're busy. We're running a multi-billion-dollar business here, and we can't get into our system. I said, well, you're locked down. We never had this before. Well, you also had security nightmares before. Yeah, we had it a lot easier before. I know, the chewing gum and the sneaker net. I know. We've done a lot better for you. We've given you Adidas. We've given you Nike. We've given you Mephistos, which are like the $600 sneakers. We've done a good job. See, we don't need all that. I said, let me be very clear with you. I'm going to help you with your problem today. But maybe you're not aware of what I told your counterpart. Maybe he didn't tell you. You cursed on our voicemail. Okay? That's warning 2. You're getting a written warning from us. Happens again, we're done. And you'll get a certified return receipt letter, and we'll be terminating you for unprofessional behavior. Just shut up and do our business. So, okay, that's not cursing us or anything like that. So a couple weeks go by, everything's running good, checking in. Yes, sir, everything good. Yes, sir. No, sir, everything's fine. So we're in the back. He's being very good. He had a problem with something. And the owner comes by. And she's like, tell that effing guy to just get it, like ass and to fix this thing. I said, did I just hear some F words and some other words and other things that shouldn't have been heard? Did I just hear that? It's like, I didn't say that. No, you didn't say that. But there was a lady in the background. Your owner, right? I don't know. Do you want me to replay the call? The call's being recorded. Hang on a minute. I replay it. Did you hear that? I don't hear that. Let me play it again for you. Okay. So that, my friends, is strike 3. We're done. Okay, then. Bye. Then she tries to come out and tells me she's going to sue me. I said, we're going to give you all your passwords, and we're done. I said, we don't have any time for this nonsense. I said, you want to sue me? I will bring you to court on harassment and threatening of our life, being unsafe because the way you threaten us with your curse words. My staff and I don't feel safe being on your premises anymore. And I'll tell the judge that. And I think I could get you for a pretty nice penny on harassment charges. So you know what? I'm done with you people. I don't even want to deal with your stupid company. You people aren't good anyway. I'm going to go back to the other guy. He knows what he's doing. Okay. And so you don't expect these things to happen, right? And the last one I want to share with you is a guy that, by the way, we fired that client. That one, we fired them. The other one before, it was a mutual, but he fired us. We had a client. So it's only 3 clients we fired in 30-some years, which isn't bad. This other one, he had a problem with his video. Okay, fine. So we go out there and we tell him he needs a new video card. He goes, we don't need a video card. I said, yes, you do. And he's arguing with us that we don't need one. I don't want a new video card. So then I said, well, can I put one in there? He says, no. Okay. Because it's not the video card. It's doing all the, it's something with a driver. Okay. So he gets annoyed after a while. We sent him a bill, obviously, for being there. And he doesn't let us put the video card in. So 3 weeks later, he tells me that we don't know what we're doing and he's getting another company that's competent. So what happened? It was the video card and they fixed it right away. You people didn't know what you were doing. Excuse me, Stephen. I actually said it was the video. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. Would you like me to go back to the phone call? See, we record all our calls for 7 years. Would you like me to go back to the phone call where I actually said that to you? He hangs up on me. So when people have this narcissistic, is what I want to call it, behavior, don't try to embrace it. Just politely acknowledge it and walk away. You're better off. When somebody says to me, oh, that's a lot of money, I'm like, yeah. And that's exactly why you should hire us. Huh? I understand not everybody can afford us. I get it, and we might not be for you, just like the Ferrari might not be for you either. But, there are different cars for different people. There are different tech companies for different people. You can get a firm that you charge $20 like the superstores, and they play games. See, we don't play games like those superstores. We just fix your technology problems right the first time. Oh, and we also don't try to play games like tell you that, your whole board is bad when it's just a battery. See, we just don't do those things. That's why companies like CompuSay went bankrupt. And there's other ones on the cusp right now that I'm not going to mention their name, but they're in trouble too with the big G because they just try to sell you more stuff when they come out. See, we don't try to sell you anything. We look at what's wrong and we say, gee, this is what you need to do. And I think people think a lot of times that, when there's a problem, that if they don't agree with you, that it must be wrong. Well, that doesn't mean it's wrong. And when I get somebody that's trying to challenge me too hard, I was like, you know what? I appreciate you challenging me. It sounds like you can fix it yourself. You have a screwdriver, right? Perhaps you should take over from here, buddy. Take care. I've done that from people. I have 3 prices. There's a price if you leave me alone. There's a price if you watch me, and the most expensive price is if you help me. So I think in lawyering with horror stories, they're good though, Morgan, because when we have a horror story, we acknowledge that it's a great point for us to learn. And after this horror story with that lady, I said, gee, I got to bring our non-discrimination policy into full force. And I got to make sure every client knows about that before they hire us. Not when they're surprised. Let them know at the get-go, hey, I appreciate you hiring us. Just want to let you know we have a non-disclosure here. We also have a no discrimination policy rules. Just want to make sure you agree to that and initial it. I know you probably have no problem, but we just want to make sure you're clear about what it is. If you have any questions, happy to answer them for you.
I love the stories. This last lesson is an important one. Me, 15 years younger, I'd be like, yeah, well, like, why do we need to sign all these different papers and policies? And guess what? There are a lot of assholes out there. And
there are. There's schmucks, and there's people out there. Everybody, you know this too, Morgan. Everybody is in business to make money, right? I always say to them, are you in business to lose money? No. You're in business. We're not a not-for-profit. We're in business to make money. So perhaps you should go somewhere to someone else that maybe wants to lose money, or maybe figure out how to rip you off a different way. Like they sell 7 other things, so they will charge you cheap on their computer, and then they'll hit you up for $1,000 of paint because they're a paint store too. I don't know, but these are the things that I tell people is that when I go to bed every night and my team goes to bed, I say, we have passion for what we do, but we also understand that I can put my head on the pillow every night and I know that I've done the right thing every day. Does that mean I'm perfect? No, but it means I've done the right thing. And if I've done something I think that's wrong, I'm going to fix it for you on my dime and my time.
Right. I think a part of being a professional in any profession is a dedication to doing the right thing for the client. And often the right thing are things that they don't see and they don't appreciate, which leads them to be assholes in order to push back.
This can even happen with new people. We've had some new clients come in, and especially in our media company, they come in and they tell us what they want, or they tell me, I can get a graphic designer to do all this I can do all the brochures for $20, 14. I could get a kid to do them like for $5 each. Well, perhaps maybe you should find that person. Well, they're on Venmo. Well, I would use them. Or they want a custom sticker made that has all these intricacies, okay? And it's not a simple shape. It's like some real fangled shape that takes like hours to make. And not only is it hard to make, you got to make sure your jig can get around every one of them so you can cut it out as a sticker. So I said to the lady, you want us to make that for you? No problem, it'll be $2,500. You're crazy. You're ridiculous. If you want a simple sticker that's round or square or oval or whatever, it's gonna be $250. I bet my friend could do that, for $50. Why don't you call her and see? Funny thing, they come back to me. But these are also the people that make the quotes a nightmare. And it's okay because you got to get every I and T crossed.
So in my personal pricing structure, I have the invisible asshole tax.
Oh.
That no, so there are people who are like this, and it's just not worth it if it's not that much money, but there's some number above which I'll put up with this bullshit because whatever, there are enough zeros at the end of the number. And actually, in my Excels where I calculate the pricing, I this asshole tax line. Okay, I'm going to increase it by 40%. I've even had some where I've doubled it and tripled it. And the craziest thing about that is usually when you do that, no, they hire someone cheap. But every once in a while, there's they come back and they
That
want to pay.
happened to me too, because I said, well, that's our price. I said, it looks like you probably don't want to go for us. Maybe you should hire that kid. And then once you get all that done, come back to us and we'll give you another quote on what it's going to cost to print it. Wasn't that the quote? Well, that's the quote to print it if we design and print. If we have to print it alone, that's going to be more money, because now I have to work with somebody else and I've got to talk with them. And well, how much more? Oh, probably double. Really? Yeah, because see, now I have to interface with somebody else. It's not our
coordinate with them. Right.
You don't realize when you have to deal with somebody and then they don't want to deal with you by phone. They want to deal with you through email. Well, can you change this, change this, change this? Yeah. Can we get a phone call? Oh, we're really busy right now. But just follow the addendum in sections 2, 7, and 8. And then you change. Like, well, you didn't change section 7A. Well, I know I changed 7B. Yeah, but you missed 7A. Can you make it so I don't have to read like a Bible every time you send me an update? Can you just send me like the quote number, the line number, and what you want changed? Like, I shouldn't have to spend an hour to figure out what I have to do. Well, we made it very easy. We just typed it up. Yes, but I had to read it 3 times because everything was all like in a whole story. And I just want to know 7, change quantity, change this, change that. Just make it easy for me. And that's the challenge. Oh, and by the way, did I mention we started the quote on June 1st? Actually, no, I'm sorry, on May 30th. I don't mind going a few more days. Your quote's actually supposed to expire on the 15th. If it goes past the 29th, the whole quote's going to be null and void. And I'm going to have to start all over again, because now, like, it's past the quoting period. Even though we're back and forth, we just don't have a 30-day time period to keep modifying quotes. We've done 6 revisions to each one of your quotes. That means we've done 18 revisions of all of your quotes. Okay? We try to be very efficient, but you didn't give us that information in the beginning. Oh, when are you going to start? When we get a deposit. Well, how do we do that? Well, you pay it online. Oh, we don't like to pay online. Okay, well, you want to fax us a check? You want to mail us a check? Well, we're not crazy about that either. Well, how do you want to pay? Can you pick up a check from us? Well, we usually don't go picking up checks from clients. We get them mailed, or, well, that means you're not going to start until you get it in hand. We're not going to start until we see it clears the bank the next day. Oh, so you mind driving out here? Well, I'm not going to be in your neighborhood for another week, and I don't want to make a special trip just to get a check. Oh. Well, maybe my father will be like in your neighborhood next week or something. You know? So you don't want to just give me like a voided check? Well, we don't like giving check numbers. Okay. So you just get people that are a little, and I find it's the people sometimes that have a lot of money that they feel they can just pin you. And guess what happened when they went to do the authorization? Their card got declined.
Ooh.
So I didn't want to be nasty. I'm like, hey, your card got declined. Well, why? Your system? Well, our system declined your card because the bank said something's wrong. Yeah, but then you did again. Decline. Yes, the system saw the transaction within 2 minutes and saw it as a duplicate transaction and voided it because it thought it was fraud. Well, that's your system. No, your bank actually has fraud on the card. You need to call them and tell them you're making a transaction over a certain amount so they allow it to go through. That's crazy. Well, have you ever made a transaction over this amount online? No. Well, now you understand what we're talking about. There could be fraud. This is complicated.
So it's interesting. So I have the asshole tax that I add, but thinking it through, there's another type of tax that perhaps I should also add in the future, which is, I can't think of the right word for it, but it's like the lots of bumps tax. Like
anal retentive tax?
Yeah, exactly. Like if someone's just going to be smooth, I'm like I'll give you a great price if I'm confident, easy, smooth, no problem. But sometimes they're not an asshole, but they're just a million questions, a million back and forth.
I get that you might have questions. I get that. And that's why we do a conference call where we meet. But then when you have to keep going back, well, we got to review it again. Well, are you making a change? No, you got to wait for the head person. And I'm just the finger person to let you know that that person hasn't made the decision yet. Okay, well, what are we doing on this one? Well, we've approved 2 of the quotes, but not the other. Oh, and the quote that one got approved, that should have been approved because the name's wrong on it. Well, it was already approved. I know, but line 13 should have a different name on it. Okay, we can change the name. That's not a big deal. But I think people have to realize that we're not here to keep them company. We're here to run a business. And, we want to get in and get out, right? Not that we want to do a bad job, but we don't want to spend 17 hours on the phone with somebody. Okay, so what kind of paper? Why don't we go through a million different types with you? Why don't we talk about the font types too? Why don't we talk about the potential of the font, the plastics and this? That's not important for you. You hire us, we're going to pick what we need. Oh, by the way, did we tell you? Yeah, we're not going to use you to mail it. You're not? No. We're going to mail it ourselves. Oh, I got to requote it again. You do? Yeah, that price was with mailing. Oh, we just want the things. Oh, and then by the way, did we tell you we want a sticker too because we want to use it in the future? So you want to design a sticker because you want to use the sticker now, but you want to use them for a different reason in the future. That's right. You can't make this crap up, Morgan. I swear to God. But the best thing is you have to go with the flow. You have to go with the punches. And I think the biggest thing with these horror stories that I've learned is that, horror stories are going to happen, right? And I think they're great.
Yes.
I don't want to call them so much horror stories. I like to call them challenges of opportunity because they allow me to embrace that. It's not like a horror movie. It's like something I see in the back mirror. Okay, I see it. Great. I'm going to avoid it or I'm going to steer clear of it. And now I know, but I'm not panicked from it, right? I know there's a snake on the left. I know there's a lion on the right. Okay, I'm just going to go a different way, but I'm not going to let it ruin my whole day. I like to say, if you ever get up in the morning and you bump your arm or your toe, you've probably done that, right? And you
this morning, actually.
Okay, you say a few superlatives and you kind of go through your whole day. You and then you get in the shower, you burn your arm or this and that, and then you go to have breakfast. And what do? You pour the milk on the cereal, goes all over your pants. Then you smash the orange juice, guys. Of course, it breaks. The beautiful the crystal orange juice, guys, it breaks. So now you not only have to clean that up, plus you're running late. Now you have to change your pants because they're all wet. Now you're getting in the car. Now you get in the car and you're like, oh, I don't have to be there early because it's no real reason. Well, your top client decides to pay you a surprise visit this morning to see what kind of modus you operate on. So suddenly it's 9:15 and your office calls and says, where are you? Oh, I'm just getting some breakfast. I'll be in a while. Well, why aren't you here? 9 o'clock. I know, but nothing ever happens. Well, Mr. Johnson just came in today and he was wanting to talk to you about his ad campaign. Oh, well, that's great. Not anymore, it's not. He left. He said, if this is the kind of attitude that our company puts forward, I don't think I should trust you with my media campaign. Oops. So that all happened because you spiraled down. If you would have said, okay, and I've done this before, if you break something, okay, I broke a glass. All right, I knocked the picture over. All right, let me pick it up. The rest of my day is going to be great. You see, what our mind does is it basically goes, the energy goes, our thoughts flow wherever our energy goes. So if we focus on it being a good day, we're going to attract those things. The best way I can explain this, Morgan, is if you drive a car, if I may ask you, what color car do you drive?
Toyota.
Color.
Oh, color. Gray.
Gray?
Gray.
Gray. Okay, I used to have a gray. I have a white car. I've had white cars for. So if I asked you, Morgan, are there a lot of gray cars on the road where you are?
Yes.
See, if you ask me, a lot of white cars, I'd probably tell you there's more white cars. Are we wrong? No. You see, our perception, our RAS, our reticular acumen system is going and saying, hey, that's what you focus on. So when you focus on opportunity, guess what happens? More opportunity comes into you. And I'll give you a quick story of this. When I was looking to do a huge event at a major mall, I said, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I reached out to them. I called them. I said, She gave me the number. I said, well, that's a little bit out of my budget. She's like, well, she says, that's what it would cost if you do it. I said, well, how do these other people do it that are like my size or smaller? She's like, well, they don't pay like that. So what do? She's, well, they partner. Oh, well, how do I partner? She said, well, we'd have to set up a partnership meeting. I said, well, do they pay? Very little, because we're partnering. So we're like giving it to them and we're working together. Oh, so by being a partner, you basically give it to me for almost nothing, and I basically help build your mall traffic. She said, that's right. See, my director wants to bring more traffic in, so we partner to do those things. So I didn't know how I was going to do that, Morgan. I had no idea. But all I learned is that Somehow I'm going to get in there. And October, I'm going to have an event with a couple hundred people. Didn't know how. In July, I'm actually
Right.
meeting with the director. She says, I'm going to have my assistant director come. And would you mind if we gave you maybe a tour around the whole facility? And I know you like the Ferris wheel. So I've arranged with Dave to give you a ride on the Ferris wheel after we meet, if that'd be okay. So you just never know what's going to happen. But if you're like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. So a year ago, I'm like, I can never do this. I can never do this. But guess what? I went out there. It's like, oh, your bid for our facility is going to be like 48,000, and you have to give us 20-some thousand to start. Like, oh my gosh, like how am I ever going to do that? So I was like, how do other people do that? I know they're not paying that kind of money. So I started asking the question of, why not? Right? Why not? Why can't I do it? And I think this is what gets us in trouble with horror stories. We see this horror story, like with this thing with this attorney, for example.
Yes.
If I took that home and I swallowed that and I chewed on it and I let it make me sick, right? That could incapacitate me, right? That could take the wind out of my sails. I'm a sailor. That could really demotivate me and my staff. Why is my staff so motivated? Because I'm motivated. I come in, hey guys, it's great to see you today. You're a ball of fire. Yeah, it's great. It's raining. That doesn't matter. It's raining out there, but we got so much to do. And I think it's your attitude that really makes the difference in these quote unquote horror or what I'll call learning stories. Because by me embracing this, Morgan, I now know what I have to do when I get a new client. I now know how I have to handle them. I now know that one of the most important things, Morgan, is it's okay to fire a client.
Right.
Most people never want to fire a client.
I have a very similar attitude, and over the years, it's transformed me in similar and parallel ways to what you're talking about, where I kind of view what I do as, in fact, when I'm in a fun mood and people ask me, Morgan, what did you? I say, I'm an applied psychologist. Like, let's use psychology on the masses and also try to understand the psychology of these individual people. That running a business, being a professional, really, you see this other side of people, putting people in difficult, challenging situations, brings out their best or sometimes the worst. This podcast is all about the worst, but I agree 1,000% that we have to take the worst, learn from it, not just in this abstract way. This is how you deal with people, but keep positive yourself, and like a horror story could be like a depressing, the ghost murders everyone at the end of the movie, or it could be this sort of movie that okay, it's this it's a horror that we all learn from and transform it and find the best of. A VC I've made a lot of money for, he characterized me in a way that I really like, where he was like, Morgan, you have a very uncommon combination of complete optimism and complete cynicism. It's like most people who are really optimistic are also totally naive about how things go. But most people who are pessimistic are also, they're really cynical and angry and unhappy. But I'm totally cynical about everything, but I'm just positive and optimistic because why not? And I feel like this is a similar combination to what you're talking about.
I like to call that not cynical. I like to call that realistic. So we have to have a realistic perspective, but we have to shoot for the stars. So we have to realize this might not happen. And if it doesn't happen today, well, you know what? I might get something better than that tomorrow. And that's going to help me propel forward. Like I was sharing with you at the mall. I said, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get in, never going to get in. And then magically I was like, gee, maybe I should just write them an email. And somebody reached out to me. Then I said, gee, I don't want to go for my lungs. Oh, well, we should set up an interview. We should set up a visit with you. A visit. So, you have to be a little creative. What I like to say, Morgan, is I don't work in my days. I just creatively play. And so, like with this client, what I probably should have done a little bit differently is I should have played a little more. And although I was professional, all this great stuff, when he said to me, you want to get that, the first thing I should have done when I said that, great, here's your passwords. I wish you guys all the best. It's been nice working with you. And I should have assumed he was gone already.
Yeah, and these are great words to end the episode on. That I love your concept of creative playing. playing. And I think this is good advice for everyone, no matter where you are in your career or how good or bad things are. I think everyone only benefits from creatively playing more.
I love that. That was how I started my thing, and I'll encourage people to check it out at believemeachieve.com, my link tree. You can go to my Super Motivational Friday, and you can look at John's bubble video. And I talk about the fact that, when we learn to play with bubbles like we did when we were a kid, see, that's what we lost when we got into teenagers. We heard the parents and other people, like other kids, deprogramming us a different way. So if you can just get a bottle of bubbles and just figure out how you played. Figure out what it was like to play when you were 3 or 4 years old, and go back, regress back to that, and take the skills you have today, and you'll become a success that you didn't believe was possible.
I love it. Wonderful words to end the episode on. John, thank you for coming. Everyone who's made it to the end, I hope you had as much fun watching it as we had fun talking. Until next time.
Thanks, Morgan. It was a privilege and a pleasure and an honor.